We'll call to order the City of Douglasville's City Council regular meeting, I apologize, for Monday, May the 15th. And our invocation will be done by Minister Cedric Beatles of Oasis Family Life Church, and after that, we'll have the Pledge of Allegiance that will be led by Councilmember Richard Siegel. So we ask that you would please stand for the invocation. Here. Madam City Manager, do you mind? Oh, thank you so much, Pastor.
Good evening. I'm Pastor Madeline Hubbard, so I'll be glad to offer the invocation this evening. Let us pray. Oh, Heavenly Father, we come once again giving you thanks for this day. Now, Lord, we ask that your spirit will move into this room, Lord, and that all of the business that is done is decent and in order. Father God, I pray for our mayor and all our council persons, and I pray for everyone else that is in this room, Lord God, that we will honor you and we will honor this place at this given time. Now I ask that everyone would remember what we're here for, and that we will do what's supposed to be done, and only you know in your heart what is supposed to be done. In Jesus Christ's name I pray, amen, and praise God.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you so much, Councilman Siegel, for leading us in the pledge, and Pastor Hubbard for always being ready to give an answer for the hope that lies within, and we appreciate that you were ramming the bush tonight. Thank you so much. So we'll move on with the agenda items, and I'll just give a few announcements and presentations. We don't have any, so I'll go through protocol. I'd like to welcome you again to this regular meeting of the City Council. If the business you're here to discuss is not listed on the agenda item, there will be ample time for you. We've had that discussion for those items this past meeting, that you should have come at that time to bring any issues if you were for or against. This is a voting meeting, so to go pretty quickly, but there still will be an opportunity under comments for citizens and delegates to discuss any items that are not listed on the agenda. We ask that only one person will speak at a time, and if you would have something to say, if you would fill out that form that's outside on the table. It's a green form, and it will ask for your information. Please put your name and address down and bring that that form to the table to give to our city clerk, Ms. Vicki Acker, to my right, and to give your name and address in the microphone. We'd love to hear from you. If you have any electronic devices, cell phones, iPads, and such, we ask that you'll put those in silent mode so that they will not be disruptive during the meeting. The regular items will be handled as follows. The committee chair will read the item, make his or her motion before the vote. If the applicant has any additional information, he or she should present it at that time. Then if there's no citizens' comments on the points of interest that were not made at the work session, the council will accept those comments. We ask that that you'll complete one of the sheets just outside the door again and turn that information in. As you know, the council has adopted a new policy with respect of time. The applicant or the person representing each item speaks first, and then those who support or in favor will have 30 minutes on either side. I want to emphasize tonight that we'll only take brief comments of clarifying statements concerning the information that have not introduced previously at the work session. Okay. Hope there aren't any questions, and we look forward, if you don't have anything to present as an agenda item under citizens and delegates, you can come at that time at the end of the meeting. Okay. So open the floor now for minutes of the legislative work session, executive session of April 27th, 2017, and the regular meeting of May 1st, 2017.
Motion to approve is presented.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. It's been properly moved and second to approve the minutes. Are there any additions or comments or anything as the minutes that are presented?
Remember, we are voting electronically.
We are voting electronically.
So raise our hand and press the appropriate button.
Thank you, Councilman Siegel. The checker who checks a checker, I appreciate that. So, so it's been properly moved and second to approve the minutes. Are there any additions again or comments from the council as relates to these agenda minutes? All of those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. And you can push your vote. Okay. Did you get it? Okay, thank you so much. Consent agenda, open the floor for the consent agenda.
Motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Thank you. I see we have a properly moved and second to approve the consent agenda as presented. Are there any questions or comments, deletions or additions to the consent agenda from the council members? Not seeing any. All of those in favor of approving the consent agenda as presented, please say aye.
Aye.
Raise your hand. Right? Okay. Nay, please say nay or raise your hand and raise your hand. It's been properly moved and second, unanimously approving the consent agenda. Okay, we'll move on to committees. The first committee is Public Safety, and that's chaired by Councilman Samuel Davis.
No items at this time, Madam Mayor. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. The next agenda item is the Community and Economic Development Committee. That's chaired by Councilman Mark Adams.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We have one item tonight. That's item 21-17-25. Adopt a resolution offering logistical support to the organizers of the 10th Annual Penny McHenry Hydrangea Festival and recognizing June 3rd and 4th of 2017 as Penny McHenry Hydrangea Festival Days in the city of Douglasville. Make a motion to approve that item 22-17-18.
Second.
Did you get the first and second, Ms. Vicky? Ms. Chelsea? Okay. It's been properly moved and second to approve item 21-17-25. Are there any additional questions or comments from the council members? Thank you. Not seeing any. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Push the button too. Okay. Opposed, same sign. Thank you. Item 21-17-25 is adopted. That's all we have.
That's all that we have under that committee. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
You're welcome. We'll go on to Planning and Development Committee. That's chaired by Councilmember Mark Adams.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Planning and Development Committee, we have several items. Item A is item 22-17-18. Hold a public hearing and consider a request for a special land use permit for sales and services, new and used cars, for 2.55 plus or minus acres, zone CG General Commercial at 6066 Bankhead Highway, located land lot 825, District 18, Section 2A, Parcel 4. Application made by Wilson Marcellus. Is Mr. Marcellus or a representative of this application present? Would you come forward, please, sir? While he is coming to the podium, this is a public hearing, and so we will make sure that we do allow the applicant to speak, and then we will have a 30-minute time limit. Is that correct? Per side, 5 minutes per speaker, for or against. Please, if you're coming to the podium to speak, for or against, identify yourself to us. Make sure you filled out the green sheet, and then make sure that you give us your name and address for the record. Now, this particular item, we did not have a representative on Thursday night, so I'm assuming that Mr. Marcellus would like to say something to us about it prior to our vote on this. So, how are you, sir?
I'm blessed, thank you. My name is Marcellus Wilson. I'm here for Renew, 6066 Bankhead Highway. My address is 4300 Sterling Point Drive, Douglasville, Georgia, 30135. And my phone number is 404-580-6508.
Thank you, sir. Is it Wilson Marcellus or Marcellus Wilson?
Wilson Marcellus.
Okay.
So your last name is Marcellus?
Marcellus, yeah.
All right, just want to make sure. Thank you very much, sir. Is there anyone that would have questions of the applicant on council? This is a renewal. It is not specified, but it is a renewal of a special land use permit for the used automobile operation that is presently at that location, correct? Okay. Any questions of council?
Mr. Chairman, what would be the length on this renewal?
Since it is a renewal, it was for what length of time?
Zoning Board recommends 5 years.
The zoning board has recommended 5 years in its renewal. And the length of time that you've been at that location, sir, is how long? How long have you been at that location already prior?
3 years.
You've been there 3 years. Okay. Recommendation is for a 5-year renewal. Any other question? Okay, is there anyone here, anyone else here to speak for this application? If not, is there anyone here to speak against the application? Okay, if not, I'll close the public hearing. I will make a motion to approve item 2217-18 for a period of 5 years.
Second.
Thank you. Did you get it? Okay, it's been properly moved and second to approve item 22-17-18. Are there any, with this special stipulation for 5 years for renewal? Are there any questions or comments as relates to this item from the council members? All of those in favor of approving item 22-17-18 for a period of 5 years, please say aye.
Aye.
Raise your hand. Great, thank you. All those nay, please say aye as well. Thank you. It's been properly moved to approve item 22-17-18. This item is adopted.
Thank you very much. Item B, 22-17-19, hold a public hearing and consider a request for a change in zoning from CG General Commercial and IL Light Industrial with stipulations outlined in Exhibit A1 in Ordinance 0-08-22 approved on May 5th, 2008 to CG General Commercial and IL Light Industrial with changes to remove all special conditions set forth in Exhibit A1 in Ordinance 0-08-22. Eliminate the mandated site plan attached as Exhibit C in Ordinance 0-08-22. Permit concrete washout facility as a permitted construction use without limitation to office only on the IL zone tract. Retain the approved zoning classification in Ordinance 0-08-22. Permit access to State Route 92 Dallas Highway on both the CG and IL parcels for 6.41 acres plus or minus at parcel 0736-013-0007 for the property located land lot 736, District 1, Section 3, Parcel 7. Application made by Atlantic Concrete Washout. I understand that the applicant was not going to be here tonight, but I can see that Mr. Kaufman with Hartley Rowe and Fowler has come to represent the application. How are you, sir?
Very well, thank you. Bob Kaufman, 5303 Slater Mill Circle, Douglasville, Georgia. Here to answer any questions, and I think Ms. Littlefield has the stipulations, the conditions.
Yes. Okay. Again, this is a public hearing. Is there anyone here that would be speaking in support of this application? This is our second public hearing. If not, is there anyone here that has not spoken or that has new information that would be speaking in opposition to this application? Please come forward. Seeing none, I will close the public hearing on this item 22-17-19. At this time, I want to make sure that we all understand that there have been some gives and takes. There have been some pros and cons. There have been some takeaways. There have been some additions throughout this process. And so I want to make sure everyone understands what the reasons were for having removed certain items and then having items put back inside this particular request. It's been a rather lengthy process to go through. But are there any questions that the council may have or may have concerning this item before we present it for a vote?
Are there any stipulations coming since Thursday?
Yes, sir. There are a few more permitted uses, principal uses that would be, they're proposed to be allowed, I believe, in the IL zone.
Okay. At this time, on item 22-17-19, I'm going to make a motion to approve the item with the special stipulations that I'm going to ask our Assistant City Attorney, Ms. Littlefield, to read, to itemize, so that everyone will know, if approved, what the uses would be allowed. And I want to make a note here that hopefully this would prevent the same thing that has happened to us in the past, where we've had to take away site plans and zoning because it was for one use only with special stipulations. This would not happen again. I want to make sure that all of these zoning stipulations are for IL approved uses. So, Ms. Littlefield, would you read that, please?
Yes, sir. Number one, The prior zoning of May 5, 2008 for the subject property is repealed, including all special stipulations and the mandated site plan attached thereto. Number 2, that portion of the property on the west side and described as provided in Exhibit A to this ordinance shall be zoned CG. That portion of the property on the east side and described as provided in Exhibit B shall be zoned IL, light industrial. Number 3, no permit or business license shall be issued for any of the approximately 6 acres of the subject property until such time as the owner has recorded an easement for vehicle traffic between the IL zone tract and Georgia Highway 92 across the CG zone tract for the benefit of the IL zone tract. Number 4, permitted accessory uses for the CG zone tract shall include parking for concrete uses and all other CG uses. Number 5, permitted principal uses on the IL zone tract shall be limited to the following. Excuse me. Concrete washout systems, but no other concrete or construction uses. Landscape architecture and counseling. Plant, nursery, lawn, and garden supply. Building maintenance or pest control service. Automotive rental agency, cars. Automotive rental agency, trucks or trailers. Photocopying and duplicating services, restaurant, carpet and upholstery cleaners, dry cleaning and laundry pickup, electronic equipment repair shops, except no computers, furniture or equipment rental establishment, linen supply, research and development or training service, theatrical production agencies, medical or dental lab, telecom switching station and transmission tower, radio or TV broadcast station, sports facility, electric or gas utility office, jewelry, musical instruments, toys, and miscellaneous products. Permitted accessory uses on the IL tract shall include parking as an accessory use, office as an accessory use, and all accessory uses allowed by the city code for IL zone property. Prohibited uses on the IL tract shall include concrete recycling. No used concrete may be transported onto the 6-acre subject property other than in connection with concrete washout. Number 6, there will be vehicular access to Georgia Highway 92 for both the CG and IL tracts. All Atlantic concrete washout trucks will use Georgia Highway 92 for access. Employee personal vehicles other than vehicles requiring a CDL license will be permitted to use Malone Street for access to the IL tract. Number 7, hours of operation on the IL tract will be limited to 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through Saturday. Number 8, all buildings on the IL tract will be constructed generally in keeping with the elevations attached hereto as Exhibit C and will be constructed with a stucco facade. And number 9, roll-off trucks utilizing the IL tract shall contain no more than 3 axles, provided that accessory trailers may be attached and towed.
Thank you, ma'am. I'd made a motion with those conditions on item 2217-19 to approve.
Second.
Thank you. It's been properly approved and second to, excuse me, a motion has been made to approve item 22-17-19. It's been seconded. Are there any additional questions or comments? The only question or comment that I would have, Mr. Chair, is about the no truck signs on Malone. Was that addressed? I did hear you say that the access for the facility was on 92, but
Well, that would be the Malone Street off the subject property.
yes, ma'am.
So we can take that up separately.
Okay. All right, Mr. Chair. Are there any other questions or comments as relates to this item?
Yes, Madam, or Mr. Chairman. One thing this is a very complicated issue. We kind of had to revisit it and go back and do some heavy research on it, especially with that. But in general, I don't like the situation where we have stipulations that have been submitted to council at the last minute. She read through them, but I haven't had a chance to look at those and evaluate those. Based upon that, I would move to table this issue until the council has significant time to, or appropriate time to review it. I don't even know what this ordinance is right now. So that's my motion.
Well, we have a motion on the floor.
And
I think this is a
Subsequent.
This is a,
Motion to amend?
well, no, it's,
Once he's made his
I'm moving
motion,
a
you can
table.
only make a motion to amend.
I want to, the motion to table is a preceding motion. It
Precedence
overrides.
over
So if there's a second, it can be tabled and it takes precedence over
Well,
the.
I would second that if that's allowed under our rules.
We can, okay, so we have a subsequent motion to table item 22-17-19. It's been made a motion to table and seconded by Councilman Siegel. Oh,
Madam
Ms.
Chairman,
Littlefield.
would you entertain a motion to table to a time certain, please?
Yes, ma'am. What's our next meeting? I know it's in 2 weeks. The dates? The first and the
The 1st and June 5th.
June 1st and June 5th.
Comment concerning that. Mr. Miller, I would not bring anything to this body to be considered for approval, nor would I have made a motion to approve this without all of these uses conditional being approved uses for it under that zoning classification. So and I understand your concern, there's nothing that has been done here, basically, other than that the list of approved uses has been condensed and limited to those that have been spoken, rather than the total list of uses under IL. So actually, it is more of a limiting conditional zoning than it is opening it up to additional uses that are not normally in IL.
Well, actually, it's not, because there were very specific issues, stipulations placed on it, which, from my understanding, they limited the access, it limited the coming and going. But without that, you know what? I want to withdraw my motion.
Okay.
Well, I withdraw my second, if you would then withdraw your motion.
Okay, so we would have withdrawn, so the motion stands, or do we need to have another motion, Ms. Littlefield?
No, you're good. Please proceed.
Pardon me?
She
The
says we're
motion to
good.
table
Please
is
proceed.
withdrawn, and you may proceed with the main motion.
Okay. So now we have withdrawn the tabled motion from June 1st and June 5th. We'll go back to the motion 22-17-19 to be approved by Councilman Adams and seconded by Councilman Watts. Are there any additional questions or comments as relates to this item from council members? Thank you. All of those in favor of approving item 22-17-19, please.
Aye.
Oh. Pardon me?
Aye.
Oh, please say aye. I thought somebody was talking. Okay, those not in favor of approving the same sign, please say aye. Raise your
Aye.
hand.
Aye.
Okay, so item 22-17-19 is not approved. Okay. So we'll move on to item C.
Item C. Item 22-17-20, approve a request for a variance from subsection 4.03.01A of the zoning ordinance to reduce the front yard setback requirement on the west side of property located at 8660 Club Drive in land lot 16, District 1, Section 5E, Parcel 103, a distance of 28 feet from the required 50 feet for a principal structure in R2 district for a required front yard setback of 22 feet, and reduce the rear yard setback requirement on the east side of the property a distance of 10 feet from the required 30 feet for a principal structure in R2 district for a required rear yard setback of 20 feet. Application signed or made by Jason Bell. Mr. Bell, present? Come forward, Mr. Bell. How are you this evening?
I'm doing well. How's the board doing?
Name and address for the record.
Jason Bell, 4435 Redigo Court, Douglasville, Georgia, 30135.
Thank you, sir. We appreciate you being here. This is the the voting meeting for the application that you had made with us on a variance. Did you have anything else to add to your application or to your presentation that you made on Thursday?
I spoke with Michelle today, and I already have an approval from WSA to put a septic tank there because of the where it was at. So I already have that approval from WSA to put a septic tank on the lot. Michelle was just curious about that.
Okay. Is there any questions of Mr. Bell of council? Yes, Madam Mayor.
I have one, Mr. Chairman. Thank you so much. Mr. Bell, there was some debate on last Thursday about the square footage of the home and the variance for the setbacks and all of that. And at one point we said it was 1,800 square feet, and then you said it's 1,500 square feet, and then I understand it's 1,800 again. So what is the actual square footage of the home?
The square footage of the home is 1,800.
Okay.
I spoke with Michelle today, and I did want to just ask her. I don't know if I asked her the 45040. The code. I'm just trying to see if that code was for 1,500 square feet or the 1,800 square feet.
And then with the approval of WSA with the septic tank, is there going to be adequate space with the setback for that?
Are you asking Ms. Wright to come up and say something concerning this on your behalf? I think just for a matter of clarity, Ms. Wright, is what the mayor is requesting.
The section of the code is 3.0206. For detached dwellings and lots smaller than 20,000 square feet shall be constructed in compliance with the following requirements. Requirement number 4 is every dwelling shall have not less than 1,800 square feet of heated living space, excluding garage. He does have 2,300, but he has a 400 square foot garage on here.
Right.
So he meets it with 1,800 square feet.
Heated and cool space, 1,800 feet.
Heated living space,
Yes. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Chairman.
Mr. Bell, Mr. Miller is asking a question. Go ahead. Go ahead, Mr. Miller.
Chairman, there was a change in setback when we talked about it on Thursday. You may not have needed all that.
No, we're
setback.
going to need the original now because of the 1,800 square foot needed home.
Anything else? All right. Is there anyone else here to speak concerning this? Are there any questions of council concerning this? Not a public hearing, so we're not having for and against necessarily, but if there is anyone here that would like to speak concerning this item, please come forward. Okay. If there's anyone here that would like to speak, just come down, make sure you filled out a green sheet, give it to the city clerk, come forward, state your name and address for the record. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, thanks.
My name's Brenda Camp. I live at 8720 Rose Avenue in Douglasville. My husband and I own the property that adjoins the rear of that property. It's 8629 Park Street. So he's asking for a variance at the rear of the property. And truly, we really don't have a problem with the variance, but we would ask that a 6-foot privacy fence be put up, should that be approved, and that be maintained.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Camp. Anyone else? Okay, we've heard from the applicant. I had some concerns. Are there anyone else have anything? I had some concerns I wanted to ask or wanted to make sure that we were clear on. We're looking at a piece of property that is less than 20,000 square feet, 16,500 square feet, I believe is the amount. I'm unaware that the WSA would approve a septic tank on less than 20,000 square feet and then the city require a larger home to be on a smaller lot and it be on septic. I have concerns about that. We have had some residents that have made mention of a 22-foot setback from the street, and in that 22-foot setback, which is normally a 50-foot setback, we have a ditch, we have a culvert, and then within about 22 feet from that, from right-of-way, we will have a garage door. This house is a L-shaped plan, I believe Mr. Bell had told me about, so the need for his variance is for the garage because it protrudes out in front of the house. I want to make sure that we are not putting him in a position to be an even more of a bad situation by approving this. So I'm going to, on item 22-17-20, I'm going to make a motion that we table this item until the next round of meetings, which would be June
1st and 5th.
June 1st and June 5th. Make a motion to table.
Second.
Thank you. It's been properly moved and second to table item 22-17-20 to the meetings of June 1st and June 5th. Are there any additional questions or comments from council members?
Yes, Madam Mayor, I would have a question of Mr. Bell. Should we be able to come to some sort of terms on what we need to do in a way that we can help you? Do you have a problem with the resident that has come in, the owner of the property to the rear of your property? Would you have a problem with that privacy fence as far as
Not at
privacy
all.
between the
Actually,
two?
I'm setting it already, so that's not a problem at all.
Okay. Thank you for that consideration, sir. We appreciate it.
Can I just say one other thing too?
Sure.
With the size that we were talking about for the 1,500 square feet, when you do go and look at it, it would work with the 1,500 square feet. I can add 300 square foot over the garage to still have the 1,800 square feet under beam with the new blueprint that y'all have. So that if we can do that.
But I'm curious as to how that would help you when your garage protrudes out in front, and that's the reason you need the variance.
No, I sent an email with the new blueprint.
I've not seen those new blueprints, so I'm not familiar with that.
We don't have that in our packet.
We can table.
My motion is to table.
Mm-hmm.
And those are the kinds of things that we would, in those 2 weeks, that we would be looking into to see if there's a way to make this work for you, or whether or not we can make it work. That's the reason we're asking for the table.
Mr. Chairman, I had a question. We may want to specify the back of his property actually crosses, I'm not using the right words, I'm sorry, 2 different parcels. Ms. Camp, is there a house on your parcel? Yes. And then there's a very thin parcel, a very narrow parcel that runs beside it. We may want to specify.
So I think what you're speaking of is 8635, which I think, Ms. Camp, is that your property? 8635? 8629. Okay, so 8629 is one parcel that backs up to it, and 8635 is the other. But Mr. Bell, you're speaking of running the entire back property line.
The whole 110 feet.
Thank you for that consideration, sir. Thank you. Madam Mayor, that's all. I presume that's all the discussion.
Any other questions or comments as it relates to this item from council members? Thank you. Not seeing any. All of those in favor of tabling item 22-17-20 to the meetings of June 1st and June 5th, please say aye.
Aye.
So they can.
We don't have the voting
There
thing
we
up
do.
yet. There it is. Thank you.
Pardon me?
We're good now.
Yes, sir.
This is just for approval.
Well, yes, this says approval. Staff.
Motion to table.
Table.
underneath it.
Motion.
Sorry.
I got it. Yes, thank you. Aye.
All right. So it's been properly moved and second to table item 22-17-20 to the meetings of June 1st and June 5th. All of those in favor have already voted. If you're opposed to tabling this item, please say aye. Thank you. Item 22-17-20, it's been approved to table the item to June 1st and June 5th meetings.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
You're welcome.
Item D, approve a request for a variance from subsection 4.03.01A of the zoning ordinance to reduce the rear yard setback requirement on the east side of property located at 8570 Hospital Drive, land lot 50, District 1, Section 5, Parcel 58, a distance of 50 feet from the required, 50 feet for a principal structure in the CG district for a required rear yard setback of 0 feet. Application made by L&J Publishers Incorporated. Good afternoon, sir. How are you?
Good, thank you.
Name and address for the record.
I'm Jack Chen, and property on the 8570 Hospital Drive.
Thank you, sir. We appreciate you being here tonight for our voting meeting on this item. Couple of questions. The building that was on the property in the location where you now have requested this variance, was that building built on a 0 lot line on the property line?
Yes, sir.
The previous building whose foundation was there
Yeah.
was on the zero lot line, because it's very difficult to tell from the plat that we have what the distance, what the setback was. You'd mentioned in your meeting on Thursday night with us that you could work with a lesser or with a setback of up to 10 feet from the rear property line. Is that correct?
Right.
Okay, and would your building that exists there now, will it be connected to the new building, or will there be a separation from the side of it?
It will very close, because I'm thinking for the money right now I have, I will build the empty. We tear down the area first, and eventually next year, and then after this build, and then I gotta rebuild the one, the existing one. So next year gonna be the whole building. To me, it's like building half of the building now for the money.
So in answer to my question was, the new building that you're proposing on a zero rear lot line setback, will it be connected to the existing building that is there, or will they be separate?
We'll be separate for now.
Will be separate. Okay, so it's a new structure.
Mm-hmm.
And when you took down the old building, what was there? Was it a metal building? Was it a storage facility? Was it what was it?
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Yeah, that was the building was for the nursery.
Mm-hmm.
And when 10 years ago, when I moved in, I got the permit to frame the whole building. Yeah, so the building was there with the foundation. The foundation is still there. The setback.
Okay.
Is his plan, can I ask you, 'cause is
One
his
second.
plan to build here? Or, because this right here doesn't even back up to anything.
What our confusion is that the property lines that we're given in red appear to possibly show the building that you have now torn down, which I think would have had a white metal roof on it, and your building that exists there has a black shingle roof on it. Is that correct? Okay, so the white part, I believe, is what has been removed, and it appeared that it was built on a zero lot line.
It's just an old map.
Yes. So you're saying that even though you have applied for a zero lot line rear line variance, you could work with a 10-foot rear line setback. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Is there any other questions or comments or questions for the gentleman?
I just kind of want to make sure that he's certain of that. I don't want to approve it and then him run into issues with the parking and not having enough room on the parking. Do we have anybody that knows any?
Was that? Yeah, was that right? Was explained thoroughly through the builder that was here on Thursday.
So the builder was good with that?
Contractor was good with a
Contractor,
10-foot rear
Mr.
setback.
Chair.
Okay, all right.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else? Okay, thank you very much. Having heard that information, item 22-17-21, I'll make a motion to approve with a 10-foot rear yard setback being then a 40-foot variance.
Second.
Thank you. It's been properly moved and second to approve item 22-17-21 with the stipulations as mentioned by the chair with the 10-yard setback. Are there any
10 foot.
10 foot, I
Madam Mayor.
apologize. 10-foot rear setback. Are there any additional questions or comments from the council members? Thank you. Not seeing any. All of those in favor of approving item 22-17-21 with the stipulations as mentioned by the chair, please say aye.
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 Raise your hand so they can see, and then you push the button. Okay. Thank you. Those opposed, same sign. Please say aye. Not seeing any. Item 22-17-21 is approved. Thank you, Mr. Chen.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Good luck to you. Thank you, Madam Mayor. That's all that we have.
Thank you, sir. We'll move on to Parks and Recreation Committee. That's chaired by Councilmember Chris Watts.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We
You're
have
welcome.
2 items tonight. First item is to adopt a resolution revising the performance chart for the 2017 Wednesday Wind Down Concert Series. I'd like to ask Mr. Landrum, just for our public listening in, to come and tell us briefly the changes and just give us a quick rundown.
Good evening, Travis Landrum, 8830 Gurley Road, Douglasville, Georgia. The revisions from the prior conversation that we had in regards to resolution for Wednesday wind downs, the biggest change would be that for the August 9th scheduled date, we had TBA because at that point we did not have a talent listed for it. So the revision will show that we have talent listed for that particular date. And in the previous dates also, there were some changes in which the talent would perform, which have been rescheduled as well. So those are the 2 main points that are different from the original resolution that was presented.
Do we have any further comment from Mayor Council? Okay. And the changes don't involve, I mean, the money to pay for the Wednesday wind down is what we had set aside for it, so we're not going over or anything like that.
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you, Mr. Landrum. I would like to put in the form of a motion to approve item 23-17-12.
Second.
Thank you. I have a motion and a second to approve item 23-17-12. Are there any additional questions or comments from council members? Thank you. Not seeing any. All of those in favor of approving this item, please say aye.
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 Thank you so much. Those not in favor of approving, to say nay, same sign, raise your hand, please, and push the button. Thank you. Item 23-17-12 is adopted.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We have one other item, item 23-17-13, to adopt a ordinance to amend Article 3 of the Parks and Recreation Ordinance to revise and add definitions to require a youth sports association or associations to disclose proposed member fees and to require a health examination for youth athletes showing signs of head injury before return to play. Mr. Landrum, do you have any comments? We've discussed this item in committees, and do you have anything to add to this?
Yes, sir. For the viewing public, just to point out the highlights of those 2 amended changes that we're looking at. The member fees is just to make sure that any organization that we affiliate with through the user agreement, that any advertised prices and fees are the ones that are passed along to the public and that they stay accurate from what we receive as we enter into the agreement. And the second, in regards to the safety protocol, is that to ensure that any participant that operates in that program, that the association does follow the concussion protocol to ensure that every participant is safely evaluated before they re-enter into the field of play for that particular sport.
I just would like to commend Mr. Landrum for bringing that. That's a very important issue nowadays with the concussion protocols. They exist at just about every level, and to add that to our ordinance, I think, is a good thing. Any other comments or?
I have a question, Mr. Landrum. Thank you for bringing this up in committee as well. The membership fees, is this anything, or just an ordinance, is this anything different than what has been done in the past?
Well, to my understanding, it wasn't done in the past. The main thing is just to make sure that if the association says that the participant is can pay $50 to participate, that price stays the same throughout the duration of that season. So I'm not exactly sure of the prior practices, but I just want to make sure that going forward, that whatever is advertised by that affiliated group or that organization that we affiliate with, that the public sees the same thing that we have on our records.
And how will you confirm that the prices are the same?
We would request that a list of fees be received from the organization that we enter into the agreement with and have that documentation on record. So then when it's advertised to the public, If Joe Citizen gets an interest in it and it's advertised one price and they are communicated a different price, then we'd be able to go back and refer upon this.
Okay, so it's mostly just what the team advertises? You just want to make sure it matches with what is advertised in the paper, or what we advertise? Okay.
Absolutely.
All right.
I had a question, Mr. Chairman, as well. Mr. Landrum, this would not impede scholarships, would it? As long as the fees are paid, it doesn't matter what method. If there was scholarship, if there was someone who couldn't afford to pay that fee to play, if they had a scholarship or the team granted scholarships, it would not impede folks from having scholarships to participate.
Any benefits that the organization wants to offer to the public via scholarships, that would be up to their discretion. So they could have that program catered to the benefit for them and for the public. We would just be looking at the raw numbers that they would advertise for the program going out. So they would be able to operate with their scholarship program as they see fit.
Okay, and then the second question, Mr. Chairman, for Mr. Landrum, is about the concussion policy. I know that on committees we discussed that they would have to have a clearance from their physician, so it could not be the team doctor. It would have to be, they need to go to their pediatrician or someone to be cleared to come back and play.
Correct. The stipulations within the concussion protocol, that association would have to follow those guidelines. So if it is diagnosed that that player has a concussion, they would need to follow those particular steps before they enter back into the field, which includes that clearance from the physician, not a team mom or anyone. Yes.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
I'd like to say on this, and I did not bring this up during committee, so I apologize, but I would like to see when clearance is given, that it's not clearance that mom says she talked to the doctor and the doctor said it's okay and she told the coach. I'd like to specify something that it has to be in some type of documentation that is kept. So I don't know how we affect that, or is that something that has to be put in writing also in the ordinance, or is that implied?
It depends on what you want to accept. If you'd like it in the ordinance, I'll ask you to table the matter so we can redraft. If you want to proceed tonight, you may just want to express that to the director and ask him to do that.
I just would like to ask what any comments from mayor and council, if that's, do we need to go to that nth degree, or is just the fact that it's in the ordinance enough?
Well, I would say, whatever keeps the child safe. However, just to do a cross-reference for HIPAA to make sure that we're in the guidelines and not violating anything with HIPAA.
Chair, it says require a health examination for youth athletes showing signs of head injury before return to play. I'm assuming then with that being in the ordinance, you could request that copy of that health examination showing them clear to play would be provided. I would hope that we would do that. That's what it says in the ordinance.
Yeah, I saw that, but I wasn't sure if it's said enough or if it's applied.
Clear to play or return to play by a doctor, would that
Yeah.
change in language?
Well, it's not a doctor, it's just a healthcare provider. It could be one of several different kinds, a nurse practitioner, physician assistant.
Okay.
What we're doing here, what we have done so far, is to model it on the state model, but if you want something more stringent, we can certainly write that.
No, I don't see any reason. If it's modeled under the state, that seems fine to me.
Right.
That acceptable? Okay. And just one last question about the other, the fees. Mayor brought this up. If 2 or 3 athletes on a team are receiving scholarships, the city's still going to receive the. In other words, if there's 20 athletes, there's going to be 20 fees paid. Doesn't matter who's paying them, right?
Correct.
Okay.
And these, again, are the fees that are going to be established by the organization, and then we'll have the schedule of that fee.
Anybody else?
Yeah, I just want to make a comment that that I know that we are striving to make sure that we're consistent across the board with all of our teams, and that's why I asked earlier, how are you going to confirm the rates? I want to make sure that whomever the team leader is, that they have information ahead of time, that the guidelines are specific and are explained and articulated very, very well. And something that had happened in the past, and just want to make sure this doesn't happen, is you're not going to be asking for teams to give bank account numbers and bank statements and all that stuff, right?
No, ma'am.
I know you
No,
looked
ma'am.
real, I know,
No,
but
ma'am.
it did happen, so I just want to make sure that we are on the same page. Also, when will you start to meet with the teams in regards to the ordinance and the fees and all this stuff?
Well, in relation to this particular one, we have already had previous conversations with the president of the association, so they are aware of what we're trying to strive for. And as we look forward to other future agreements, we would have the same conversation with them in advance of that season taking place and
Okay.
the agreement being made.
Great. Thank you so much for working diligently on this. It just makes the integrity and the transparency a lot better. So I appreciate that. Thank you. No other comments?
Mr. Chairman, Travis, baseball, so the procedures for baseball is the same as football?
Well, again, any group that we associate with that we would enter into the user agreement, this is going to be the same standard with them as well.
All across the board, tennis and all?
Whatever sport we look to move forward with, this would be the template. As the ordinance is being proposed with the amendments, the user agreement would be created, and then the ordinance, which is what we're discussing, would be attached to it. So it would be pretty much the ordinance going forward with all the associations.
Thank you.
Any other further comment? All right, I'd like to put in the form of a motion to approve item 23-17-13.
Second.
Thank you. It's been properly moved and second to approve item 23-17-13. Are there any additional comments from council members? Thank you. Not seeing any. All of those in favor of approving this item, please say aye. Raise your hand. Thank you. Those opposed, same sign. Say aye. Thank you. Not seeing any. This item is unanimously approved. Item 23-17-13 is adopted. We'll move on. Oh, I apologize. Is that it, Mr. Chair, for Parks and Rec?
I'm sorry, Madam Mayor. That's all I had. I just point of order, though. I thought I did hear one aye on the, did I hear that wrong? Did we?
No,
Because you
that's
said unanimous. Did I hear that?
Seemed to be
Madam Mayor was describing
Okay.
what she wanted you to say if you were against it.
It showed
Okay.
on the screen as unanimous.
Okay. I'm sorry. I have no other items under Parks and Recreation.
Thank you so much, sir. We'll move on to Finance Committee. The Vice Chair for Finance is Councilmember Richard Siegel.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. No items to act on, but we will have something under staff reports at the end of the meeting.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. Information and Technology Committee, that's also chaired by Councilman Richard Siegel.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. No items tonight.
Thank you, sir. Maintenance and Sanitation Committee, that's chaired by Councilmember Mike Miller.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We have two items tonight under Maintenance and Sanitation Committee. First item is 26-17-08. This is to authorize the purchase of Honor Garden benches and trash receptacles from Peach State Amenities LLC in the amount of $7,837. Ms. Weeks is here for any questions, but we did have this in committee meeting on Thursday night. So anybody has any questions, or if there's a presentation, Ms. Weeks, please feel free to present.
Questions in case.
Okay. Put item 26-17-08 in the form of a motion for approval.
Second.
Thank you. It's been properly moved and second to approve item 26-17-08. Are there any additional comments or questions from council members? Not seeing any. All of those in favor of approving item 26-17-08, please say aye.
Aye.
You get it? Opposed, same sign.
We don't have the voting thing yet on here. Voting thing.
We
There
have
it
the
is.
motion.
Now we have it.
Okay. So item 26-17-08 is adopted.
In addition, we have item 26-17-09. This is to authorize the purchase of Honor Garden masonry supplies from Georgia Masonry Supply in the amount of $7,902. I'll put this in a form of a motion for approval.
Second.
My little thing isn't showing up for me to do the motion, so.
It's not up there right now.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so
Motion.
what's been, I see on the screen, has been the motion to approve was done by Councilman Mike Miller, and the second was by Councilman Mark Adams. So it's been properly moved and second to approve item 26-17-09. All of those in favor of approving this item, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Opposed, same sign. Item 26-17-09 is adopted.
Madam Mayor, that's all we have for tonight.
Thank you so much, Councilman Miller. We appreciate everyone's patience as we are adjusting to the technology in the screening and how we're getting it together. Information.
Use this.
Technology chair, yes, sir, we'll have it.
I don't need to.
We're still in transition mode, so we're just, changes is coming. Okay, we'll move on to the next agenda item, which is Transportation Committee. That's chaired by Councilmember Dr. LaShawn Burdanley.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
You're welcome.
Item 27-17-10, authorize the city's maintenance and sanitation director to proceed with the addition of the following two streets under the Georgia Department of Transportation's 2015 LMIG program to complete the 2015 LMIG to meet the minimum requirements of the 30% match Saddle Creek from Saddle Brook Way to Brook Court, which is .083 miles, and Brook Court from Saddle Creek to Dead End, .87 mile, at an estimated cost of $60,000. There is currently a balance of $45,596.80. Jackson Paving Company was awarded the contract in November 2015, and this work will be completed under the terms of that contract. Are there any comments or questions for Mr. Roberts? Okay, if not, I make a motion that we approve item 27-17-10.
Thank you so much. Been properly moved and second. Good, it's on the screen. Properly moved and second to approve item 27-17-10. Are there any additional questions or comments from council members? Thank you. Not seeing any. All of those in favor of approving this item, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Thank you. Item 27-17-10 is adopted.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. No other items under transportation.
Thank you so much, Councilmember Danley. We'll move on to Personnel and Organization Committee. That's chaired by Councilman Richard Siegel.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. No business tonight.
Thank you, sir. Ordinance and Intergovernmental Committee, chaired by Councilman Mike Miller.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Ordinances in Intergovernmental Committee has no business tonight.
Thank you so much, sir. Education and Training Committee, that's chaired by Councilman Samuel Davis.
No business tonight, Madam Mayor. Thank you.
You're welcome. Is there any other business to come before council member tonight?
Yes,
From
Madam
council
Mayor.
members? Yes, sir.
I would like to take this opportunity to remind everybody up here that we have a joint meeting with the Board of Commissioners tomorrow at 4 o'clock, Citizens Hall, where we will receive the results of the Southwest Thornton Road study.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much. You're particularly interested in that study. Yes,
Of course.
Yes, sir. Any other business that come before council members? Thank you. We'll move on. Our city attorney isn't here, so we'll go to the Chief Assistant City Attorney, Ms. Susan Littlefield.
No business, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, ma'am. Chief of Police, Deputy Chief Suzanne Shaw.
No business, Madam Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief Shaw. City Manager, Ms. Marcia Hampton.
Just to remind you all, along with the meeting tomorrow at 4, you do have a 5 o'clock special call council committee meeting for information technology on May 25th. So those are your two meetings for the month remaining for the month of May. And June 1st and 2nd, you will participate in a series of budget workshop meetings. So you have a busy last 2 weeks for the month. And that's all I have.
Okay.
Madam Mayor, do
Yes,
you have
ma'am.
the time for the budget meetings yet?
Yes, ma'am. We start at 9 a.m. on Thursday. We go all the way through because you also have a legislative work session that night. The committee meetings will stop somewhere around 4:30 to give you a break so we can go into committee meetings at 5. Anything that we don't complete, we may have to pick up after the legislative work session because we need to be out by noon on Friday. So we start at 9 a.m. on Friday and end by noon. So it'll be a long 2 days.
Thank you.
Wait a minute. Wait, what time you say on the 2nd of June?
June 1st and 2nd, we start at 9. June 1st, we go all day. You have committee meetings and legislative work session. On June 2nd, we start at 9 and we end at noon.
Oh, okay, noon. There we go. It's my son's graduation party. I have to make sure the mother's there. Okay, any other comments from city
I
manager?
have one question for the city
yes, sir.
manager. Will I need to bring a sack lunch?
I might have a few peanuts and popcorn for you, Mr. Davis, but I think you'll be there all day. I won't let you starve.
Thank you.
All right. Only other thing I have, Madam Mayor, is that following staff reports, we do have 2, but I will add another from Mr. Travis Landrum. He does have some events to report on from the park system, and that's all I have.
Okay, thank you so much, Ms. City Manager. We'll move on to comments from citizens and delegates. We'll open the floor for any comments from citizens and delegates. You may come to the podium and give your name and address for the record, and we'd love to hear from you.
How you guys doing?
Mr. Jones.
My name is Charles Jones, 7764 Douglasville, Georgia 7764 Melody Drive, Douglasville, Georgia 30134. Okay, I was coming up about the Parks and Rec, about the fees. Okay, I know some of you guys sat out there and registration fees for the Douglasville Tiger Cubs is $200. I know some of you guys sat out there and count 200, 200, 200, 200, 200. That's not necessarily true. Okay, if a parent has multiple kids, she get a discount. First kid's 200, second kid is 175, the third kid is 125. So therefore, don't come out there and say, okay, they got 200 kids, so that's $200 a piece. That's not necessarily true. For the concussion, we require all our head coaches to do concussion heads up. If you go online, it's called Heads Up. They do training for concussions. We require that all parents, if a kid has a concussion and go to the doctor, before they even be able to come back and participate, they have to bring a doctor's note. So my thing is to you guys, I'm sure me and Mr. Landry will get together, is that something that we're gonna have to do is bring you guys a copy of saying that they're doctor's excuse, we got a doctor's excuse, or is it just, I give him a phone call, I got the doctor's excuse from the doctor, and we move on from there?
That's a good question. So well, we thank you for having that standard, and we're just trying to marry up our requirements with the state requirements.
I mean,
yes,
that's
sir.
standard across the board for all my coaches. They have to take up a heads up clinic, period.
Yes,
and
sir.
if any kid get hurt, I mean, sprain an ankle or anything, before they get back on that field, you have to bring a doctor's excuse to get back on that field.
Yes, sir. And we will probably work that out with the city manager and Mr. Landrum, as well as the chair, to determine reporting purposes. I don't know what our legal would say to that.
I'm sorry, Mayor.
With them bringing their information back for validation that they're clear to go on the field, is that something, I guess I said, we'll just work out the logistics of that reporting, how that works out with the, and we'll report back to you, Mr. Jones, because that's something we didn't tie up the ends. We're just trying to get in line with the state requirements to make sure that it's done.
Okay,
So,
and with the fees, is that something that, I mean, okay, we put out there $200 registration fee. We did an early bird registration fee. So is it, with the fees, is it something that, say for instance, I had a kid that's sponsored, period, just sponsored, period, no fees, basically because you have kids that want to play football.
right.
But, you know, I go out and try to get sponsorships I even try to get sponsorships from some of you guys.
Yes, sir.
But some of you guys do and some of you guys don't. But, and I think the ones that do. But if I have a kid that can't afford to play,
Right.
they're going to play football. So hopefully you guys are not going to say, well, that's $200. And I'm going to be honest with you, sometimes it's 15 to 20 kids, because, I mean, I'd rather have them before anybody else get them.
Yes, sir.
So I just want to get that clear and get that understanding that every kid out there is not $200. So don't be out there counting 200, 200, 200, 200, because that's not going to happen.
We understand. So as long as the organ shows that you are, when you state how much the fees are, that's what we were talking about with Councilmember Danley as well, is that it's the same that's in the paper, that the fees are $200, but scholarships will not be impeded by your fees. So if you have folks that are covering a scholarship students, that's great.
Right.
There's no problem.
But there will be some that didn't get covered based on because they can't afford it, or I didn't get enough money for sponsorship. But I'm going to let them play football.
That I don't know.
Madam Mayor, and for the purpose of council, I think the intent of the ordinance is more so for our purposes, for information purposes only. We're not interested in mandating the Tiger Cubs. So if someone were to call City Hall and say how much is the registration, we would know how much it is. But what negotiations the Tiger Cubs works out with a parent will be on their own. The intent is not to regulate the Tiger Cubs at all, just for information purposes for our records, because they are participating on our fields.
Okay.
If I might add, Madam Mayor, if I might add, Mr. Jones, you probably want to include the fact that there is a reduced structure of payment for multiple children. That way you will, that parent that's looking online or that calls City Hall to find out about it, if they have multiple students want to play and they say, ooh, three at $200.
Once they call and they say, okay, I got 3 kids, we break it down to them, let them, okay, your first kid is 200. The next kid and the next kid.
But I'm just saying, make sure that City Hall, make sure that is included.
Okay.
In the advertisement.
So that we'll have good information.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, Mr. Jones.
Yeah, can I make a comment too? I just want to say to Mr. Jones, unfortunately, there are things that happened over time, and I think what the mayor and council is trying to do is make sure that it makes it easier for you. So thank you for dealing with whatever.
Okay. Thank you so much. All righty. Are there any other comments from citizens and delegates? The floor is open. You may come to the podium, give your name and address for the record. Okay. Not seeing any. We'll go on to staff reports. And the first one is chaired by Councilman Mark Adams.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We have a staff report concerning the upcoming Food Truck Mondays events in downtown Douglasville, and that is our committee, Community and Economic Development. Mr. Lynn?
Yes, sir. Jonathan Lynn, 6695 Church Street, Douglasville, Georgia, 30134. Sorry. It seems like a year ago that I was up here telling you about the first one, but in a couple weeks, starting June 5th and every Monday night thereafter, the 12th, 19th, and 26th, we're going to have our Food Truck Mondays back downtown in the precinct parking lot, same parking lot. The only change this year is that we are going to have it from 6 to 8. The reason for that, not selfishly, is that we hope to entice some of the elected officials to come out after a council meeting to sample some of the food. But no, we had a lot of comments last year that it was a little too hot during the middle of the day. People couldn't get here that may have worked outside of downtown. So we're trying to kind of bring that audience in this year. We're going to increase the number of food trucks. It'll be anywhere from 8 to 9, maybe 10 food trucks. And we are assured, I've said it before, the lobster rolls will be back. They were a big hit, and we think they're going to be here for each event this year. And the other events will alternate. The other trucks will come and go. We'll try to have different foods every time. But that does start on June the 5th, and we'll run every Monday night in June.
Mr. Lynn, that means then there are 2 of those Mondays we've got a city council meeting, so after we adjourn here, I'll be able to walk down there and have some dinner, right?
That is correct, yes, sir.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
No problem. They will charge you, though. I have to tell you that.
That depends upon what time you adjourn. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
That's all we had under that committee, Madam Mayor.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman. I would like to add, Mr. Lynn, talking with the city manager, the chair and I had visited American Red Cross, and so we were interested in trying to get food trucks out to their tributary area for those facilities. There isn't Oz Pizza, it's closed down, and so we were looking to see if maybe, I don't know how you negotiate that, and we can talk offline, but just to let the citizens know who live in that area and who work in the area that we did look into and talking to staff about providing food trucks for Medline, American Red Cross, KHE, all of those businesses that are out in that area. really are sequestered to their facilities and have to bring a lunch. And sometimes Chick-fil-A will come, but they say if you're not down there in 15 minutes, you're going to miss the Chick-fil-A lunch.
Yeah, yes,
so
ma'am.
that would be
And
great.
we probably would need to talk about that in a little more detail because we do have some separate requirements for private property versus city property.
Okay.
So there are different regulations, but we could talk and work that out.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Right. Thank you so much. All right, we'll move on. We have another staff report, and it's under Finance Committee. We'll have the Vice Chair, if you don't mind, Mr. Siegel, take care of that item.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I don't mind. Staff report presentation of draft for proposed City of Douglasville 1, Conference Center Fund, 2, Confiscated Assets Fund, 3, Convention and Visitors Bureau Fund, 4, General Fund, 5, Multiple Grant Fund, 6, Public Purpose Corporation Fund, 7, Rental Car Tax Fund, and 8, Sanitation Fund budgets for fiscal year 2017-2018. I think our illustrious Finance Director, Ms. Callan, is going to present to us.
Yes, per our charter, we are to present you at least a draft budget 45 days prior to June 30 fiscal year end. So this is a draft budget. It's about 90% done. We still have a little tweaking to go. Marcia and I are working on a meeting with the tax commissioner. I know you probably read the paper that our property digest values are to go up this year, so we're wanting to dial in a little bit on that number. Also, we're waiting on some departments to get back with us on some overtime issues and education and training. This is one of the things we're trying to scale back. But to meet our charter's requirements, we do have this loaded for your review. And as you mentioned earlier, our budget workshops are June 1st and 2nd. We do have a public hearing for citizen input Monday the 5th. And this is following our state statute or our state laws. And we are due to adopt the budget on June 19th.
The only problem is I don't see it loaded.
It isn't loaded.
Hampton?
I know I sent it this afternoon.
Do a printed
I don't
one.
have any attachments.
There's no attachments for this item, so
I will email it to you right now.
thank you. That still satisfies the requirement of the charter. And we've got a couple days to spare.
Yes, yes, exactly. There's not variance differences on this budget. This is just straight numbers, funds by department. But when we meet the 1st and the 2nd, we'll have variance comparisons so you can easily locate the variance differences on or rises and falls from year to year.
Thank you. Any questions, comments? Thank you very much.
Thank you. That's all you have?
All we have.
Okay. Thank you so much, Mr. Siegel. We'll move on. I know I have another staff report from Mr. Landrum, who want to talk to us about some things from Parks.
From the Parks and Recreation Department, just wanted to highlight some events that'll be coming up prior to the next round of council meetings. Specifically, wanted to highlight that on May 18th, our partnership with Douglas County to have the senior picnic will take place again. The location this year will be at the Woody Fight Senior Center. The start time is 9 a.m. Some of the highlights of that event will be their traditional bingo. They'll have door prizes. And of course, we'll have our very own mayor there that will be able to recognize the oldest male and female in the area.
Lots of fun.
The next event, May 20th, the pop-up market, location being on the back lawn behind the Ike Owens Recreation Center. That will take place from 9 a.m. to 12 noon, so you'll be able to come out, and any vendors that have signed up to participate in the pop-up market, you'll be able to purchase and witness some of their merchandise. And the last is the public swim. That will begin on May 27th at our outdoor pool facility over at Jesse Davis Park. It would be on their traditional 12:30 to 6 schedule. They'll have 2 sessions. If participants want to take place in one session, that would be a $2 fee. If they want to do both sessions for that day, it would be a fee of $3. They also will have night swim that will take place only on Thursdays from 6 to 8:30, and that fee for that is $2. And they'll also have the individual passes, 18 and under, $20 for the entire season, Adults 19 and up would be $40 for the entire season, and family passes are $74.
Okay. Thank you so much, Mr. Landrum. Any questions or comments from the announcements from the Parks Department? None. Thank you so much, Mr. Landrum. I would mention that the Taste of Douglasville is this Saturday from 11 to 5. So we invite everyone to come out. Even though the plaza is being renovated, we will extend the Taste of Douglasville down Church Street. So come and have some great things to eat. And then Representative Roger Bruce is having his annual fish, the pond. It's like a, what is it called?
Water Creek State Park Catfish Rodeo.
There you go. I know you have to get catfish.
17 years, 15 years, a long time now.
Yes, and they are stuffing the pond, so we're excited about
It's
that.
also the grand opening of the animal shelter over by Deer Lick Park on the 20th as well in the afternoon. Busy day.
Busy day. Okay, before I close the meeting, adjourn the meeting, let me confer with one of my councilmen. Okay, we have another item under Transportation Committee, so I'll open the floor to Councilwoman LaShawn Downley for item 27-17-11.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I have been informed that I need to do an amendment to item 27-17-11 under Transportation. And I will read it as they authorize the mayor to sign a change order to implement the additional construction work in the agenda item that I read, which is item number 27-17-10 regarding Jackson Paving Company. Mr. Roberts, I'm sorry, Susan?
Yes, Ms. Littlefield.
Ms. Littlefield.
Yes, ma'am. We need to authorize the mayor to sign a change order on that. It's construction, and all construction contracts have to be in writing, so the mayor will need to sign something on the scope and the money.
So 27-17-11 is just the authorization for me to sign.
Yes, ma'am.
Correct. Are there any questions or comments? Okay. I make a motion that we approve item 27-17-11.
Thank you. It's been properly moved in second to approve item 27-17-11, which is an authorization for myself to sign the Jackson Paving item, which was 27-17-10. Are there any additional questions or comments from the council members?
Thank you, Susan, for bringing that to our attention. It's better to do it now than to have to wait 2 weeks from now. All right, no other items, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. It's been properly moved in second to approve item 27-17-11. All of those in favor of approving this item, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Thank you. Item 27-17-11 is adopted. Thank you so much, you all, for your flexibility in allowing us to come back to the Transportation Committee. Are there any other items under that committee, Madam Chair?
No, ma'am. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. Any other business to come before the council tonight? Thank you. Not seeing any. This meeting is adjourned.